Uh, Welcome to ANPA PR study group meeting. Today we have faculty from Aadikavi Bhanubhakta campus, Rajan Ghimire. Rajan Ghimire, he will be presenting on analyzing concept maps as an assessment tool in teaching physics and comparison with the achievement test. So it is a published paper in International Journal of Science Education. So with that, I would like to request Mr. Ghimire to present on this paper. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning and good afternoon to you all. I am Rajan Ghimire from Aadikavi Bhanubhakta campus, Tanahun, Nepal. Today I am here to present a review report on the topic of analyzing concept maps as an assessment tool in the teaching physics and comparison with the achievement test. This research report has been published in the International Journal of Science Education. This is reviewed by, this is research by the Şebnem Kandil İngeç University of Turkey. Today I am here to review that report. Sorry, sir. Before going to the research report, first of all, I am to discuss something about the concept mapping. Before this, first of all, I want to discuss the philosophical background of the concept mapping. Learning and memorization cannot be separated. It means that they go side by side. Learning and memorization, they go side by side. Similarly, the concept mapping helps in the meaningful learning. It means that it implies that as a result of instruction, students are able to relate new concepts with previously acquired learning. It means that they go side by side. Learners relate new knowledge with what they already know and understand is they found a new learning. It means that their past learning and the future learning and present learning, they can be interrelated to each other. For this, concept mapping plays an important role. Similarly, the concept mapping is an important tool for assisting and enhancing the many types of the thinking and learning for the learners. Based on the cognitive theory of learning given by Asubel, one of the famous educationists is Asubel. He has given the Asubel's theory of meaningful learning, and this learning follows the inductive reasoning between the deductive and inductive reasoning. The Asubel's theory follows the deductive reasoning. Similarly, for this theory, students acquire metacognition. It means that metacognition means thinking about thinking. It means it refers to an individual's awareness and ability to monitor their own thinking process. Here, the historical or etymological meaning of the concept mapping, I'm going to discuss about this. First of all, Joseph Donald Novak in 1993 at the Cornell University began the first time about the concept of the concept mapping. His theory was based on the Asubel's theory of cognitivism, as mentioned earlier, and he emphasized on the prior knowledge in understanding of the new concept. He can, or you want to relate the prior knowledge and the present knowledge by some concepts. Novak states that meaningful learning involves the assimilation of new concepts on the cognitive structures. Now, the concept mapping are actually graphical representations where nodes, there are some points, they are not as nodes, represent the concepts, and the links. They can be linked by arcs or lines. They represent the relationship between the concepts. Actually, it is a wave diagram in the form of wave diagram, or it is interlinked diagram for exploring the knowledge and gathering and sharing the knowledge. It is a way of organizing knowledge on the flow chart. It is in a path that may be bidirectional relationship. Here is one example of the concept mapping. That example demonstrates about the concept mapping itself. there are some, these points are known as the nodes. Similarly, nodes are interlinked by some prepositions here. That is the one of the diagrammatic representation of the concept mapping. The concepts are mapped with the some prepositions here. Now here are some steps for constructing the concept map. Okay. First of all, knowledge of the subject matter on which concept maps are made, that to be created. Similarly, in the second point, we have to call it at least 20 concepts or words related to the topic. Think about a suitable web, what type of web, what type of structure should we make. Similarly, write main topic in the box, mainly in the center. Write related topics or concepts, and then these concepts are links by the arcs or lines. Now in the next slide, this is one of the example of concept map for force. Here the vertices are interlinked by the some prepositions here. This is also one of the example of the concept mapping for the force. Then now I would like to discuss about the research report as mentioned earlier. Now the article or the research as mentioned earlier discusses about the use of concept mapping in science education, especially in teaching physics. That article especially discusses the use of concept mapping. The study highlights the importance of effective evaluation in education to improve the teaching and learning process for the teaching learning process in the physics. The goal of the research was to identify and address many or any learning difficulties in these concepts to enhance the educational outcomes of the students, especially in this resource. Concept mapping was used as an assessment method on the impulse momentum topic. The topic was taken from the impulse and momentum. And here it means that here concept mapping and the assessment method, they are compared here in the research. The text elaborates on the role and effectiveness of the concept mapping in science education, emphasizing its foundation in the Archibald's theory of meaningful learning as mentioned earlier. The concept mapping was especially, it is philosophically founded in the Archibald's theory that is known as the theory of meaningful learning. The research focused on using concept mapping as an education method to assess the understanding of the concepts of momentum and impulse. It is applied in the concept of the momentum and impulse. The text also discusses the diverse structures of concept mappings. There may be different structures of the concept mapping. Here the research especially uses different types of concept mappings that may be linear, that may be circular, that may be tree-shaped, that may be net-shaped, that may be middle centers, and the challenges students face, such as establishing the hierarchies and the cross-links, that was studied in the research. Now, the main objectives of this research was the study aims to evaluate teacher candidates' understanding of the impulse and momentum through two methods, especially one, analyzing their concept map. First of all, what is the critical and what is the analyzing capacity of the students with the concept mapping, and finally the test administration was also used for the objectives. By comparing and constructing the results of these two methods, the study sought to assess the effectiveness of each approach. It means that one, analyzing their concept mapping, and through the analyzing their administration through the achievement test, they are compared to each other. And finally, a conclusion was drawn here. For this research, the methodology was taken as the low-directed construct a map from scratch technique. It means that construct a map from scratch means it refers to an approach where students independently create concept maps without strict guidance or predefined structures, allowing for flexibility and creativity in organizing and connecting the information. It means that there is no any strict rule and any strict guidance for the students to create the concept mapping. They are creating their concept mapping in self-dependent form. Okay, in this research, from the data was collected from 73 pre-service physics teachers. The research was in the spring semester of the 2006, and these pre-service physics teachers were enrolled in a special instruction methods course of that university. Especially the focus of the course included understanding and constructing concept maps, especially about the momentum and impulse for this topic. Participants were tasked with creating their own concept maps based solely on their existing knowledge without any external resources. As early mentions about this, they are free to create their concept mapping with their existing knowledge only. They are provided a survey sheet with a sample concept map and steps for constructing on to assist them. Here, each participant's concept map was scored using there are 5 different methods. The research uses the 5 different methods for the scoring of the concept map drawn by the students. Additionally, they took an achievement test also, which comprised 21 questions covering the topics such as impulse, 4 questions from impulse, 4 questions from momentum, 5 questions from impulse momentum, and 8 questions from the conservation of momentum. This test underwent classical item analysis and reliability measured using the Coda resorption formula, K20 formula, that is, resulting in a reliability coefficient of 0.65, which lies on the acceptable level. The reliability coefficient was 0.65, which lies in the acceptable level. Similarly, the validity of the test was confirmed by at least 4 experts in the physics, with examples of the multiple choice test. The multiple choice test question items are first of all created and they are validated through 4 experts in the physics for the validity. Okay, now here is the method of concept map scoring in that research. The 73 concept maps created by pre-service physics teachers were evaluated using 5 different scoring methods and by 2 raters. For the scoring of the concept maps, there are 2 raters were used. The 5 different methods were, first one is the holistic scoring method. In this method assesses the overall understanding of the concepts represented in each concept maps. In this scoring methods, the maps were rated on the scale from 1 to 10 following the McClure research report. Similarly, in the second one scoring method that was developed by the McClure and the Bell in 1990, according to this method, individual propositions were used in the concept maps. In each propositions was scored from 0 to 3 scores based on the correctness, and the total scores was sum of all propositions scores. In the third structural scoring method that was described by the Novak and Gonin in 1984. This method considers both the correct identification of the propositions and the presence of high-level structures also within the concept maps. The points were awarded for the number of hierarchical levels and cross-links. Each rater, there are 2 raters. Each raters received the instructions for all 5 scoring methods to ensure the consistency of the evaluations. Now on the next slide. Okay. The fourth one method was the Novak and Goin scoring method. In this method, the propositions, 1 point for each meaningful and valid propositions. For the hierarchy, 5 points for each valid label in the hierarchy. Similarly, for the cross links, 10 points for each valid and significant cross links. Similarly, 2 points for each valid but less significant cross links, and for examples, 1 point for each examples was provided. And in the fifth one scoring system, for the fifth one scoring system, the number of concepts for the 2 points for each relevant concepts was given. Similarly, 10 points for correctly placing concepts according to their relevancy. That was for hierarchy. Similarly, 2 points for each true propositions between the concepts. Similarly, 2 points for each clear and open propositions. That is for clarity. And 2 points for correctly and understanding of the directions for concepts and linking the words in the propositions. That was. Now, after the rating by two different raters, inter-rater coefficient, inter-rater reliability coefficient was also calculated. The momentum and impulse concept maps have been assessed separately by two raters, as mentioned earlier. According to the holistic and relational scoring methods, the calculated correlation coefficients, the scores given by the raters is presented in the table 1 below. As seen in the table 1, the meaningful and high correlation exists between the raters, which supports the reliability of the raters. It is the, for any two methods, the reliability coefficient between two raters is slightly same. It means that the rating given by both raters coexist. That's why their rating was now the summary of the test was given here. First of all, first one example. For the first one example is given here. The poor concept map was done by the students, or they are known as the student teacher also. That figure 1, for example, of the concept map produced by student is given here. There is no any type of elaboration with the concepts. Now in the second example, it is one of the good example of concept map produced by students. This is, in this concept mapping drawn by the student, the good concept map with the correct propositions showing the relationship between the link is shown here. It is more important than knowing many concepts without the connections. Sorry. Now for the third one example, here is the highly interconnected and complex map by the experts showing the varying scopes of the concept mapping based on the drawers' perspectives. Especially here is the momentum and impulse concept map produced by Ingeç and Tasser in 2006. It consists of high interlinked and one of the complex map that was drawn by the experts. They are Ingeç and Tasser. This consists of the so many nodes, so many interlinked. It is one of the highly interconnected concept map. Similarly, in case of the two scoring methods, the concept maps were evaluated using 5 different scoring methods, as mentioned earlier. The achievement test results were also compared. Here is the percentage of the participants map structures. 7% drawn linear type of concept mapping, 13% drawn circular type of concept mapping, 30% drawn tree type of concept mapping, 25% network type, and 25% drawn hub or spokes types of the concept mapping. Now in the comparison of the concept mapping and the achievement test, the study compared the concept maps with the achievement test scores to assess the understanding. Similarly, the reliability and validity of the concept maps is assessment tool also were analyzed, as discussed earlier. Correlation analysis also made. Here are some misconceptions in the key findings. I would like to discuss about this. 12% of the participants incorrectly saw the relationship between the momentum and impulse as an equality. Similarly, 22% incorrectly believed that total energy in collisions is not conserved. They mention that. Similarly, 97% did not emphasize that momentum and impulse were vector quantities. 13% only created concept maps about momentum, excluding momentum and impulse relationship only. They were the key findings also. Here are some conclusions of this research report. Okay, one is the ability to establish the correct relationships between concept is crucial for the understanding. It means that there should be ability to establish the correct relationship between the concepts. Participants generally created simpler concepts map rather than the complex, highly interconnected ones. They were failed to draw the complex or highly interconnected structures. The study highlighted the significant gaps in the understanding fundamental concepts related to the momentum and impulse among the pre-service physics teachers, which were the respondents. Similarly, here is the comparison of the concept mapping with the achievement test. The study explores the use of the concept maps and achievement tests to assess understanding among the pre-service physics teachers. The main concept map scores were calculated by averaging the scores and normalizing the mean value here. Here is figure 4. Figure 4 shows that the distribution of these scores. The mean concept map scores were significantly lower than the achievement test scores, especially. It means that the concept map scores were significantly lower than that of the achievement test scores. It means that they were failed to draw the highly structures which consist of the high levels concept maps. Although the students included the numerous concepts in their maps, they often fail to create meaningful relationship between them. Especially the concept mapping is based on the meaningful theory. It means that there should be the meaningful relationship between the concepts. This figure shows the distribution of the scores. There solid structures, C map scores means concept mapping scores, and the slightly light or dimmed scores, they were for the test scores. This figure shows that the test scores are slightly more than that of the concept mapping scores. The concept mapping scores are less than that of the achievement test scores. So this is one of the very important and most themed conclusion of this research. The concept mapping scores and the achievement test scores, they are not identical. They are the slightly different. The test scores are higher and the concept mapping scores are lower. It means that there is some difficult to create the highly meaningful concept maps through the students. The study also aimed to compare the concept maps with the achievement test, tracking the attainment of the performance objectives. The data in the table 3 will be here. The data in the table 3 highlights this comparison with the performance of the objectives. Notably, there are 45% of the students who made the performance objectives for the impulse concept in the test could not establish the conceptual relationship in their maps. Especially in the map, they were failed to create or failed to establish the conceptual relationships. That table shows the comparison, especially percentage of the participants' performance in the objectives. It means that attained in the achievement test, not attained in the map. They were 45 attained in the map and not attained in the achievement test. 5 attained both in the achievement test and in the map. 45, this is for the saying or writing the concepts and facts about the impulse. Similarly, saying or writing the concepts and fact about the momentum, only 18 were attained in the achievement test and not attained in the map. Similarly, only 18 in the map, but not in the achievement test, and only 5.2 they were attained in the both or achievement test, that is in the percentage form. Saying or writing the momentum in the vector quantity, 89.3 and 1.3%. Saying writing that impulse is a vector quantity, it means that there is the variation in the achievement test and the concept map. Similarly, 89% of the students who made the vector property of the momentum objectives. This is one of the conclusion. Now, finally, overall, the data indicate that students struggle to deficit the concept in the maps despite their knowledge as shown in the test. They have secured some higher good marks in the achievement test, but their concept mapping drawn ability was slightly less. This difficulty may be attributed to the syntaxial differences between the Turkish and the English concept. Similarly, in English, the relationships between the concepts are easily written, but by the Turkish syntax, since this research from the Turkish University, but Turkish syntax, which follows a subject-object verb structures, complicates in this process. Here is the reliability and validity of the concept maps for the assessment. For assessing this reliability and validity, as mentioned earlier, the Parsons correlation coefficients between the concept map scores and traditional test scores was calculated. The past research also has shown that moderate to high correlations between these scores. Here, the descriptive statistical results were summarized in the table 4 here, while the table 5 also here. Table 5 presents the correlation matrix between the concept map scores using 5 different scoring methods and achievement test scores. Look now that table 4 especially shows that the descriptive statistics for different types of evaluation method here, different types of test scoring here, concept map scoring methods. They are holistic, relational structures, Novak and Gorin and only Ingeç and tactics method. Total number of the participants were 73, and they are the minimum, maximum value, mean value, and standard deviation is shown here. For the analysis of the correlation, the study found a positive but weak correlation between the concept maps scored from 5 different scoring methods and the achievement test scores. There is slightly weak correlation. It means that the scores from the scores from the concept maps and the scores from the achievement test, they cannot be directly compared to each other. While some studies have found no significant relationships between the test scores and concept mapping, it means that the students who are unable to do the concept maps, they may get the high scores in the test time. Here is the one table in the table 5, the correlation matrix for 5 different concept mapping scoring methods. Holistic methods for the holistic one, relationals and holistic method, their relation is 0.73, structural method and holistic 0.53, only injectation method 0.58. It means that this is the correlation between the different methods between this. And finally, in the discussion part of this research report, the pre-service physics teachers show the understanding of the impulse and momentum concept, but encounter difficulties in the effectively organize them in the concept mapping. They may have some concepts, but they are failed to organize that concept in the form of mapping, reflecting challenges identified in this previous research. Expert-generated concept maps were more comprehensive than those created by pre-service teachers, indicating the potential gaps in the conceptual understanding among the latter. It means that the concept maps which are generated by the expert that are so highly comprehensive and so advanced, but that type or the level of the concept maps drawn by the pre-service physics teachers were called here. That is in the lower level in compared to the expert generated concept maps. The Turkish physics textbooks often emphasize momentum conservations but lack diverse examples to facilitate understanding of the vector properties, potentially impeding students' conceptual developments. The students were failed to explain or failed to link the concepts in the for the vector property or other some properties of the momentum and impulse. Concept maps, despite their weak correlation with the assessment test, offer valuable insights into identifying misconceptions and assessing both declarative and procedural knowledge, complementing their traditional assessment methods. And finally, here I want to conclude my these presentations and thanks all of you for your presence and for the audience to me. Thank you, sir, and thank you all of you.
Thank you so much, Rajan sir, for this presentation. It's very like it is actually this concept mapping. I did not know the importance of concept map a lot, but after this presentation, I learned a bit better. So looks like that it is a very important tool in the teaching learning process. So if any of you have comment or any questions to the on the paper, let's now discuss. Probably at this point, let me stop recording and we do informal discussion. Okay, thank you.